Hi, it's Katie from Root to Health with your Natural Health Fix. Today I wanted to talk to you about anxiety. And I know most people have experienced it at least occasionally in their lifetime, whether a certain event happens or something surprises you, you're worried about something. It's kind of a normal reaction in the body sometimes when you have repetitive thoughts that cause you to be anxious. And normally it subsides over time when you can give less attention to it or do a few things to help yourself relax. Many people, however, are unfortunately plagued with it, I guess, for lack of a better word, and feel like they have no control over it, end up at their doctors and hopefully looking for some sort of medication to help them function without this anxiety that a lot of times can keep them from enjoying their life and doing the things that they normally need to do every single day. Having had anxiety many years ago, back when I had my bowel issues, I do know that I knew exactly what it felt like. It could come on, normally for me it would come on, well, it would just come on anytime. It didn't really seem to matter, but for a while I didn't do anything about it. I knew some of it was related to my bowel issues and some of it was just because of my life situation at the time. I was just getting into natural therapies at that time, so thankfully, since I was experimenting with other things for other issues, I eventually figured out that the missing piece for me in order to get well was to deal with my anxiety, and I did that with herbs. I wish I knew a little bit more then what I know now, because I could have easily have sped up the healing process if I knew some of the things I do now as far as the mind and body connection. But regardless, I still got rid of it, and I still felt empowered with the fact that I could do it by myself without medications. Now, please don't think that I'm telling people not to use medication. If you have to use medication, you have to use medication. Obviously, just do it under your doctor's supervision. And my input, only because I worked in mental health for many years, was to talk to your doctor about whether how long you need to stay on it. Is this something you can taper off of eventually? Do they recommend other therapies or counseling or something natural? My medical doctor does recommend natural therapies and counseling, but a lot do not. So that, unfortunately, a lot of times it has to be up to you to follow through on that. Personally, I just didn't want to have to be beholden to a medication in order to function just every day, especially when it was something I felt like I had some control over, or like I'd like to think I had some control over. So just make sure you talk to your doctor about down the road what you can do. Maybe you just want to be on it temporarily so that you can function and start to feel normal. And when you feel more normal, then you can start looking into alternatives. And I think that's very empowering, and it gives you a lot of hope in the future, and it gives you control over a situation that before felt like it was controlling you. So basically, back in the day, what I did, I used herbs. So I used herbs for the most part. Again, it was trial and error for me, and I used liquids mostly in tincture form. I used some capsules. I used whatever I could get. But the bottom line is that with the research I did, I started out, with just small doses of things to see if I noticed a difference. Sometimes I did, a lot of times I didn't. So then I would up the dosage, then I would up it some more. It really depended on what I was using at the time, liquids or capsules. Liquids always in my head worked faster, which they tend to do anyway. The tinctures do, they absorb a lot faster. So sometimes I would be using them right then and there right in my mouth, although it tasted terrible. So most of the times I just put them in juice and dealt with it that way. For the most part, you can take them as often as you need them. The side effect is normally tiredness. It could make you drowsy. So obviously be careful with anything like that. But it never really made me drowsy, quite honestly. It just made me feel... I don't want to say I felt like, I don't know. I just felt like more like myself. I didn't feel like mellow and all this stuff. It didn't work like that for me. For me, it just let me feel like myself. And also it made me feel in control of the fact that if I felt anxiety coming on, I would take something for it, and I didn't have to wait or worry about the fact that I just took some an hour ago. I didn't really have to worry about that with the herbs I was taking. So yeah, herbs like Skullcap, passion flower, valerian, hops, lobelia, sometimes chamomile, sometimes all at the same time, sometimes individually, because again, I was experimenting. I also used Rescue Remedy, which you may or may not have heard of that. That's a Bach flower essence. It's a combination of, I believe, 5 different essences. And again, it's a little tincture. You can use it in a spray now, or it's a dropper. You can drop right on your tongue. That's known to help with emergency situations. It's such a tiny, small bottle. I don't have it right here, but I can link a picture of it when I put this in. But that's another one I carried in my purse at all times, because at that point, then I was making, later on, after I felt better from the anxiety and the bowel issues, I started public speaking, which there you go. There's a nice reason to have anxiety. And I would literally be in the car before I was going in and like putting this stuff on my tongue before I went into whatever I was doing. I also started using, this was more as needed, was essential oils. And I love essential oils. I have tons of them, actually. I have a bag of these. I have another box of them. I have them all over the place. They're in my medicine cabinet. They're in my bedside table. They're in my purse. My daughter and I have used them for years. Yes, there's the common ones like lavender. Everybody's heard of lavender. But oils especially, there's like a blend you can make yourself, and other companies sell blends that already have more than one oil in the bottle. And what I know how many times I held one of these babies up. The plastic bottle thing, you can mix, again, water with about 5 or 6 different essential oils in here, shake it and spray it. I have one of these at work that I spray. I've used it in my house for whatever reasons. Oils like citrus, like the lemons, grapefruit, tangerine, sweet orange, lavender, of course, frankincense, sandalwood, rose, which is extremely expensive, but rosewood is not nearly as expensive as pure rose. But they all work together to help give you a calming atmosphere. You can also I have a roll-on you can buy. I bought them off Amazon. You can make your own roll-on with a carrier oil, and I usually use jojoba oil or grapeseed oil as a carrier oil, and then I put the essential oils in there. And then you can put them on your pulse points, behind your knees. I think right here, I'm trying to think wherever I would put it, but yeah, you can do that too. So those are the main product-wise things that I would use back then, but since then I've used, like I said, I'm using more things now that I know that I can use that I didn't know then. Magnesium, I wrote a whole article on my website about that. Pretty much almost everyone is somewhat deficient in magnesium. So once you start reading some of the symptoms of magnesium deficiency, which are on my website, and I linked that in the description below, you might see yourself in some of those symptoms. And you really should take a look at that, because it's such an easy fix, and sleep and anxiety are one of the symptoms of being deficient in magnesium. So, talk to your doctor, or you can just basically start supplementing yourself. It doesn't have to be earth-shattering how you're supplementing. You just don't want to take too much. Normally, if you take too much, you get diarrhea. So that's how you know you're taking too much. Start out with, I think it's like up to 300 milligrams a day for women, but even start less than that. Start with a little bit. Start with it before bedtime. Epsom salts are high in magnesium. You can take a foot bath, like a half a cup of Epsom salts in a foot bath before bed, or in the morning even, just to start your day. You can put a cup of Epsom salts in your bath just to help absorb some of it through the skin. There's other ways to get magnesium, and I will be mentioning that again in another post. But I have found that extremely helpful for some of my symptoms that I didn't even realize were caused by that. But once I started taking it, all of a sudden I noticed that some of my symptoms had gone away. So what do you know? So anyway, I hope you like this information. Just don't feel that you're stuck with anxiety issues. It doesn't have to be the sentence for the rest of your life. I know people talk about, I suffer with anxiety. I'm like, you don't have to suffer with anything. You have to deal with it, but you also have to educate yourself on how to deal with it. And I think that's half the battle. No one likes to feel powerless about anything, and anxiety is one of those things that no one wants to feel powerless with. So don't hesitate to get in touch with me or make a comment below if you have any questions, and by all means you can email me as well. The other thing, last but not least, those were all things you can do or take for anxiety, but meditation. I know a lot of people shake their heads, roll their eyes, ooh, meditation, how's it really going to work for me? I can't do it. I can't even do it for 5 minutes. I'm like, you got to try. You know, you don't know it until you try. There's so many books out there. When my daughter and I studied with Deepak Chopra a couple years ago, he's a medical doctor who's very big on helping the mind help the body. Meditation was one of the things we did every single day. It's proven to help people get off medications. It helps with blood pressure. It helps with sleep. It helps with depression. There's just too many things to not try it. I basically go on YouTube and type in meditation music or guided meditation. Start with 5 minutes. Doesn't matter. You can't really do it wrong, but the point is to try something. So hopefully those are things that you can use to help take the edge off when you need it. If it's just occasional anxiety or something that's more, substantial happening in your life, these are all things you can do, usually safely with medications, but by all means check with your doctor or check with someone who's knowledgeable about the medication you're taking and anything you want to take in addition to that that's a natural supplement. Again, feel free to subscribe, make a comment below, and feel free to stop over at my website. And thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.